how fun was it competing on the Superstars?
You know, that's funny that you say that, because somebody sent me a card, and they sent me, you know, a letter with it, and it was a picture of me at the. They had my football card, but they had a picture. I guess they were at the Superstar competition, and he said, "You set a record in the swimming. You won the gold medal, or whatever they called it back then. I think it was a gold medal, and points for the swimming every year." Well, I grew up in the ocean, and the coach that they had for us taught us how to flip turn. I was just going to grab the rail and just kick off, but I practiced and practiced the flip turn, and finally got to the point where it felt kind of good. And you also add to that Rick Barry, who had played basketball with the San Francisco team and probably a couple of others. He's a big, tall, 6'8" guy, really fit, and he gets up on the stand next to me for the first race. The first year that I was in the swimming competition. I competed, I think, 4 years. And he's next to me, and he looks at me, he goes, "You know, I was the, I think he said state champion or the conference champion or swimmer. I beat everybody my senior year." And he said, "I've watched you with your flip turns, and I've watched you, you know, up here on the starting block, you know, up on the stand there." He said, "You don't have a chance." He said, "So just take it easy, have fun. I'm going to kick your ass." Excuse my language, took us. So I started boiling inside, and I probably did the longest launch that I ever did from there to get out, because you're moving faster through the air than you are in the water. And but I was late. You know, I didn't want to blow the gun and everything else, so he hit the water first and was going. But I came back and touched. I did the flip turn, and it was perfect. I couldn't have been better, and that was the only one in all those years that really came out just like that. And I held my breath all the way down, and I held my breath all the way back, because surfing in big waves, you learn to hold your breath. So I came back and hit the wall when he was just making his turn. Those are fond memories. And Rick's, I came to know him later, he's a really good, decent guy and a great father, and he was just trying to get to me, and he did. But Ronaldo Nehemiah and Edwin Moses, some of the track guys, and Ronaldo Nehemiah came on as a teammate with the 49ers. There's a guy that had incredible talent. I hadn't played much, if any, football, and still had a couple of really good years. Edwin Moses, you know, just a phenomenal hurdler and athlete. They didn't even use the rope on the big wall thing. So, yeah, I also set a record, I think, in the rowing, because I've been in boats my whole life, you know, so it wasn't fair, really. And I got a couple points bowling, just a couple, and maybe tennis.
How difficult was the wall?
The wall was tough, you know, when you're a tall, lanky guy. So I got up as high as I could, and I was able to grab the rope. I'm pretty sure 1-2 hands, and then grab the top and pulled myself up and over. But yeah, it was a monster. That and the tires on the other side, which, you know, football players should know, but they had them really close and really tight together. And you know, the hurdle, jump over the water thing, and then the hurdles at the end. It was challenging, but the whole thing was done, you know, in really. They had the NFL championship, and then the top 2 or 3 guys got to go on to the next American championship. And then if you were in the top 3 there, you got to go to the World Championship Superstars. And I think I made all 3 trips each 4 years. So you get to meet people from different sports. You know, Mike Schmidt is one of the most deadly serious, you know, great Hall of Fame baseball player. He was in the American competition, and I think he made it to the world, too. There was a guy that could play tennis, bowl. You know, he had trouble with the hurdles and the wall, like most of us non-track runners did. And then there was the quarter-mile race and all that stuff. But, boy, could he hit a golf ball, and he was a good swimmer. So you got to meet all these guys, and who was the famous race car driver, Indy and NASCAR, Jackie Stewart. You know, they had guys coming over from England, soccer, rugby players. There was a guy, last name was Riley, same as my son's first name. He was a world renowned rugby player from Ireland, Just great athletes. You got a chance to see the different levels of training and competition. And everybody that they picked at ABC did a great job. I forget the name of the company, TW something, was the management and organizing company. They did a great job of selecting people. I will also, you're going to ask me my favorite memory of the Superstar competition. Mark Gastineau of the Jets, who had to block on a regular basis, and he was a load. And a great player, really quick for his size. He came over, they were showing us how to lift weights. I've never lifted weights. And Barry Sanders was trying to help us out, and Mark came over and he said, "Look, Russ, you're a tall guy, so you're going to have to get this, clean and jerk is what it was." He said, "You can get a lot of points in just this one part of it. So, but when you push it up, you got to really drop down lower, so you got to be able to be ready for that weight." So because here's a guy, obviously he knows I'm no threat, but he didn't have to help me. And, he's on the other side of the ball. We're beating each other up at football. You would expect something different. But that was the type of camaraderie among players and the competitors. And it moved me up. I forget. I think I got 1 point. So that means I was probably fourth. And, but I'd have been out of it if it hadn't been for his help. So those types of experiences, and jumping, skydiving, we when I was at ABC, we did the National Skydiving Championships. I got to jump with the world champion teams. I got to jump with the Golden Knights. And, where you're landing basically on a cigarette pack, you've got to be able to have that kind of accuracy when those guys are jumping. So you see all these different sports and all these different things, and the guys like Hemmings and Greg Knoll from the old days of surfing, riding the biggest waves in the world. The face of the wave is 80 feet, 60 feet. Just enormous. And that's when they were paddling into big waves. Now they're pulling in with a jet ski because they're riding bigger waves and just couldn't paddle as fast to keep up with some of those huge waves off the California coast or on Maui. So, having all those different experiences in those different categories and meeting all of those wonderful people, it gives me great hope for this world. It gives me great hope for America, the kids coming up, and the work that you're doing and the work that the league does and the Players Association does in trying to help former players, is a real tribute to that type of character. Where that book on Ronald Reagan, speaking of Ronald Reagan earlier, character is king. So those are the people that you get a chance to hang out with. They enrich your life to a phenomenal degree.